Okay, so good morning. So we have the file systems class today. Yeah. So as usual, we normally start with questions. Backup. What is backup? Printers. Why printers? So today, file system. Okay. So I'm going to ask you one question. What is formatting? And as usual, I will tell the answer. Formatting is erasing data. Tell me something else. What is formatting? Erasing data is a common man's term, right? You are not common man. You are Unix admins, system admins. So what is formatting? I'm like a max teacher, right? Most of the time, I say the easiest, I solve the easiest problems, give the toughest one as homework. Yeah, yeah. So just enjoy it. Yeah? Like, just imagine in the interview somebody asks you, what is formatting? You say formatting is erasing data. That's what the other nine guys also going to say. So why should I hire you? Yeah. So think about it. What do you think during format? Like, I'm not training as an engineer, I'm training as an engineer. Think what is going to happen inside the hard drive during format. Can you imagine? No? No? Okay. So, formatting that all this will be goes back. Something similar, but it's not the exact one. Uh-huh. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Free. Okay, I'll tell you how that happens. Yeah, you'll be surprised to know you have a 10 GB hard disk. How much maximum you can store in the inside a 10 GB hard disk? 9.5 GB. Your hard disk crashed. You go and give it to a data recovery agent. He will say how much data you want, 10 GB or 80 GB. Have you heard these words coming from a data recovery agent? That's a 10 GB drive. How is he getting 80 GB of data from it? You said 9.5 GB is possible. 9.5. I'm saying 80 from a 10 GB. How does the data recovery agent recovers that much data from your hard drive? Yeah. So that's what our learning is going to be, for which we need to know some basics. Okay. Have you seen a hard disk before? Okay. So a hard disk work on the magnetism principle, right? Yeah. So let me put those. Magnetism. So have you seen the disk like this? Let me just add some pictures for you. It has platters. Like this. These are called platters. You know what is platters? Platters means aluminum disc, yeah, stacked one over the other using a spindle. Or the, yeah, there'll be one on top of the other, like rack like this. Okay, so I'll just draw that. Not a great drawer though, so just, does it make sense now? Does it look like a, yeah, good. Okay, so this is some layer of disc, aluminum disc, connected to a spindle, and a motor rotates it. Okay, do you know that table fan which is over there? When you switch it on, what is the speed of that fan? How many RPMs? 1500 RPM. Okay, and this hard disk is going to run at 7500 RPM. What is 1500 RPM? Have you seen the speed of that fins rotating? Think 7 times the speed of that. Okay, so just imagine that disk is running at that speed, and there is one thing called heads. Okay, this head is a electromagnet. You take something. When you draw on the spot, you may not get. Yeah, so I'll just try. Okay, now I'm going to put some heads on top of it. The heads. something like this. Control C. I'm trying to my tunes. I'll just draw some straight lines here, so make it much easier. So these are the heads. Okay. So aluminium has a property of diamagnetic. What is diamagnetic? Some magnetic properties you should need to know. Like when you give one charge, it becomes north pole and stay in north pole for long. When you reverse polarity, the north pole will become south pole and stay in south pole. So either it is in north pole or in south pole. That's the property of aluminium. This electromagnet, this one, whatever you see here. This is an electromagnet. Have you seen an electromagnet or have you prepared an electromagnet in your life? You seen? Where did you see an electromagnet? In labs. Have you seen an old electric bell at your home? Tring, somebody presses a button, the tring kind of sound comes. That comes from an electromagnet. I'll tell you how to prepare an electromagnet. Yeah. What you need to do is go home, take a nail, iron nail. Okay, so it's a quick one that you can do. Okay. So it's something like this. You take the iron nail, yeah, and start winding cables on this, and then put a battery. This becomes a magnet. Very easy job. Take a copper coil, just wind onto the iron nail, and then connect a battery. It becomes a magnet. Remove battery, it becomes demagnetized. Electromagnet has a property: when charged, it becomes magnet. Discharged, it becomes demagnetized. It reverses the polarity of the battery. The north pole and south pole also will get shuffled. So these electromagnets are our heads. So you pass the value of A. What is value of A? For example, A equals in binary 10110100. So 1 means north pole. So polarity is plus minus. 0 comes, it is minus plus. So like this, the electromagnet will get charge, discharge, charge, discharge, and that's been copied onto your aluminum disc. Aluminum disc stores it permanently. Are you able to make this? So far it is very easy, but when it comes spinning, this rotates as 7500 rpm, and this head moves at as a voice coil speed of something like random swipe. Just imagine A itself is 8 bits. So when you write a resume of 1 KB, 2 KB, just imagine how many ones and zeros would be there, where and all it will scatter, and how it will be read back. Yeah, so that's the reason we have a manager called file system manager. Okay, so let's see from step by step how the formatting happens. Okay, you know how formatting does? When you do a formatting, what system does is, have you powered on a PC and checked for sounds? Okay, what are sounds you hear when you power on a PC? Okay, one is fan sound. When you power on, you get a fan sound. Okay, you got to know that a UPS or a power supply has got the power. Then what next? Have you heard about some beep sounds? Yeah, what are those beep sounds? When you get a beep like beep, beep, long beeps, what does that mean? Ah, RAM problem. RAM is not properly fixed. You will get a musical tone, beep, 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 something like that. Usually this is a video card. If you have a video card and video card is not properly plugged in or video card is not working, you get that kind of beep. So that's called troubleshooting using beeps. You also look for one more sound. That's the hard disk initializing sound. When you power on, hard disk will have some crack tuck. Have you heard this sound? This is called hard disk boot sound or hard disk spin sound. When you power on the machine will spin the this one aluminum disc once, and it will catch it at one place, and then head will move and rest at one place. That's the first sector of your hard disk. Whenever you switch on, it will always come and rest there, so that it always have a count for where it's moving. Is that fine? Now if you do formatting, what formatting does? What formatting does? There's an option to use a pen. Do we have a pen support on this? No, right? Okay. Let me just start. So when you do format, what it does is it start layering one. Okay. What it does is this is sectors. This is called tracks. Okay, first track, then it lays the second track. Got it? Like this. So it starts laying tracks. Got it? Yeah. So when you do formatting, it's not erasing data. What it does is from the position, it will start laying tracks. Track 0, track 1, track 2. These tracks are nothing but in a running race, there are 8 people running. They are being given separate tracks. What is the use of laying tracks? One should not run over two should not run over three. So they are given separate area so that they will only run on those particular tracks. Is that fine? So the same tracks are laid on each cylinders, on each this one, and they are called cylinders. So when you draw engineering drawing, so when you see from here, it is something like cylinder 0, cylinder 1, cylinder 2, right? They are called tracks or cylinders. Now after that, what it does is it will start cutting that into sectors. You know what is a sector? What is sector? What is sector? Sector is a portion of a circle, right? Something like this. Getting it? Why I'm drawing and showing you is so that you this picture will be always there in your memory. Yeah, you are feeling that as if that hey, yeah, this is doing the format. Yeah, have a feel. Okay, so now it cuts into sector. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to take this picture as a top view and going to draw this here like this. So one of these. So it looks something like this. So it's more like this. These are your sectors. Sorry, tracks. Good. I'm able to draw quick. I'm not that good drawing. So what is this? This is your so this is how your this is doing. Your head is coming and laying tracks. Okay, on one of cylinder. So you should able to dream such thing is happening. Okay, so all the tracks have been laid. Good. Now what we do next? Draw the sectors. So your head will come and start. Good. I think this. Good. So I think Excel is giving me more help. Good. Good. I should try Excel for this. It's giving me the right cut. So it's drawing sector. should have drawn this prior, right? So that you get a picture about how formatting works. Now my question is, while I draw, each sector is 512 bytes. You know what is 512 bytes? What is the 1 byte? 8? 8 bits. So 8 bits is 1 byte. So what is 512 bytes? 512, yeah. So 1 byte is 1 character, A. A is converted into 10101, then it is 8 bits. So A character holds 1 byte. So 512 bytes means it can hold 512 ABCD. So if you have a resume of 500 characters, that constitutes 500 bytes. You are getting it? So each sector, what is the sector? This is sector, right? This portion is a sector. Each portions are a sector. Each sector is 512 bytes. Now tell me, if this section is 512 bytes, this innermost one, innermost, the small area is 512 bytes. What is the outermost, this area? How many bytes? The innermost over here, I can store 512 bytes. Okay? How much will I store here? How many layers? That many layers. Okay. First layer is 512. Second layer will be 512. 512 into 2. Okay. The third, fourth, whichever layer it is. That will be 512 into that. So this is going to be 512 bytes. Okay. This is also going to be 512 bytes. You know how? Let me just see. Shades. So what is that? Just imagine you are riding a bike. You ride a bike, right? Okay. So this is one arc. This is a second bike. This is a third bike. Have you rode a bike like this? Just imagine there are 3 bikes. First bike is called synchronous rotation. First bike from here to here, if they want to accelerate, how much acceleration has to be? Less. For the second one, little bit more. The third one, somewhat more. So whenever the head comes here, the acceleration is very less. So that 10101s are very closely packed. But when the head comes to the outermost track, outermost sector, that sector is very widely distributed because when 7500 RPM in the middle is much faster than 7500 on the outermost. The outermost, yeah, that's what the spindle speed. The spindle is running at 7500 RPM. But on the inner side, when you get close to that cylinder, it's much faster, right? 7500 RPM will go like this. So what will happen? The ones and zeros are very closely packed. But when it comes to outermost circle, the outermost circle is running at a much slower speed compared to the innermost one, relatively. So it will be placing it on a very random places. So again, all are 512 bytes. Okay. Now we know how the capacity of hard disk is defined. Number of tracks multiplied by number of sectors multiplied by 512 bytes equal to 10 GB or equal to 100 GB equal to 1 terabyte. That's been achieved based on formatting. Once you format, it will allocate like this and you will get it. You got it? Okay. This is on a first format. When you do the second format, after some time, after 6 months, you do a second format. What the system will do is it will not again relay or remove this track. Just to make a small skew, and this track is moved just little bit inside, like this. Instead of laying on the same track, you just make a small difference. You getting it? Yeah. Yeah, like this. It makes a very small change. I'll just make it a set back. Make it transparent. Something like this. Small skew. Getting it? Which one? No. I'm saying that the track, instead of laying the track on the same, it just makes one step, one small step. Like this, it can, between the first track and the second track, it can lay 8 other tracks. Like in cricket match, we lay pitch. First time pitch will be there. Second day pitch will be just made a small skew. Third, fourth, fifth. On the eighth day again they will bring back this pitch to the same old place. Same thing will happen like. On the eighth format only your first data is getting erased. So that's why we say before you are giving your hard disk or pen drive or something to a data recovery agent, you think that formatting your data is removed, but he will take your old 8 GB of data. Getting? Yeah, when you format, what the formatting does is the head will come and stay on the track and it will lay the first track by demagnetizing that area and mark it as track 0. Makes one shift, track 1, then track 2, track 3. So it demagnetizes and creates a bump. Bump is the track. And whenever we write, it will only go to the bump and write on the bump. So when your file system manager will say, go to track 0 and write this. Go to track 3 and write this. We'll see that later. We are going to have the file system coming into place. First thing is formatting. Formatting is, what is formatting? It's not just erasing data. Formatting is, it lays a new tracks. It cuts them into small sectors of 512 bytes. After creating the 512 bytes, then it starts doing the creation of file system. Is that fine? We'll see the file system. So far clear? You are able to visualize these two pictures?
க்ளோஸ் ஆகும் போகும் எந்த பொசிஷன் வேணா போகும் இந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ட்ராக் செகண்ட் ட்ராக் ஸ்டெப் பை ஸ்டெப்பா தான்
yeah that's why we in devices class if you attended I said two things. One is character device, block device. Character device means we'll go track 0, track 1, track 2, track 3 serial. That's called, yeah, that's called, even hard disk can work serially. That's why hard disk will have character device and also block device. You can use the hard disk, use sequential data writing. You can also do block writing. Go to track 0, track 7, track 13, track 57, track 92. You can go to any track. That's called block addressing. That's been taken care by Unix or Windows by giving instructions to the head. Go to this track and write. Go to this track and read. That's called block address. So we have both. So your question makes sense. Is that fine? You're able to visualize? Tonight when you dream, you should be able to dream a formatting of a hard disk. Yeah? So far clear? Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, this particular picture, I'm going to make it into some more easier way. Okay. I'm going to make this as a into this format. So it is much easier for us to now you know what is this? Each box is 512 bytes. So what is that? Yeah, I put that R, that sector as a box. So now it's very easy for us to understand or correlate. Yeah, when it is cylindrical or something of that sort, you cannot think of something. So I'm just mapping it into a box. Each box is 512 bytes and that should be easily correlate. Like this is track 0, track 1, track 0 sector 0, track 0 sector 1, track 0 sector 2, track 0, then track 1 sector 0, track 1 sector 1, like that. So they have been numbered like that. So now this comes as a partitioned disk, C drive, D drive, partition. But C drive is not formatted. You do two things, right? One is you make partition. This is the partition. After that you do formatting. When you do formatting, what the next step it does is, it creates this area for file system manager. Okay, so this area is file system manager, and this is your data area where your data is getting stored. You got it?
file system manager will have the like which track will have it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to address now. I'm going to go step by step. The first one block, one section of data disk is allotted for file system. That's why when I asked you first question, 10 GB, how much data you store? You told me that 9.5 GB. Where did that 0.5 go? Now you know where it is? That point 5 is used by the file system manager. Now consider the hard disk like a telephone directory. What is the telephone directory? Full of data. Okay. Now you want to search for Raj Mahesh from Kundratur. How will you search Raj Mahesh from Kundratur in your telephone? Yeah. You first go to index page. Why you go to index page? Because you can randomly select. You can go with algorithm, binary search tree or something, heap algorithm. You are intellect. You can go like that, but system is not that intelligent. I always say Unix or Windows, whatever OS, hardware, is an idiot. We are intelligent, so we quickly go to the directory like that. But what the system does is it goes to the index. Index will say where R is. You will go to the R page. R page is some page number 600. You go to 600 page. There you will say RA, RA, RB, RC. You have to go for Raj, Mahesh, then Kundratur, then you find this telephone number. The same principle is going to be applied here. Okay. So let's see what is there in the file system manager. The first area is very important part. This is called MBR. What is MBR? Yeah, master boot record. Master boot record. So this area is called master boot record. What is the use of master boot record? Yeah. So the question is like when the machine is powered on for the first time. So machine hardware will come up and it finds that hard disk is a boot device or CD drive is a boot device. So why we call that as a boot device? Because as I told you several times, CPU can read only memory, but the boot device is memory. Boot device is a hard disk. Boot device is CD-ROM. So how will the CPU will come and read the hard disk and boot? Correct. So that's the reason on the hard disk when you hear the sound crack tech is nothing but it comes and rests at the track 0 sector 0. That's the place it will stop. That's nothing but your MBR. First 512 bytes of your hard disk is your MBR, where when you install the OS, it keeps that MBR information there. Your OS boot files are kept there. Okay. When the hard disk starts reading, that's called bootstrapping. It will just read the MBR 512 bytes and paste it onto the RAM. It doesn't understand what it is, but whatever is there on the MBR, take it and put it onto the RAM. This is called bootstrapping.
So, but in BIOS setting, we will be giving boot devices.
Boot devices hard disk. So it will go and see. We will see that in the boot. Yeah, you say boot device, right? When you say boot device, CPU cannot go and read the hard disk. So what CPU will do? CPU will ask the hard disk to copy the content, the first 512 bytes of your hard disk, whatever it is there, copy it to your RAM. When it copies to the RAM, CPU will read the RAM. Oh, your Microsoft Windows, starting Windows. Your Linux, starting Linux. Your AX, starting AX. So MBR is the area which will say what OS it is and what minimum boot information are kept inside it. But can you put an OS inside 512 bytes? No? Okay. Then comes couple of boot records. What is boot record? Yeah, that OS will have some more boot information like command.com, io.sys, and all you say in Windows, right? NTLDR, you remember in Windows world. So like this, Unix also has some boot files. These boot files are being called and that will start loading the OS. Now you say starting with the OS. Yeah. So MBR also will, this 512 bytes are not sufficient. So usually what they do is they used to point them from here to here. It should be pointers. So it's a random. So that's why I put it here. Okay. You getting it? So random. Random on your hard disk, it will start loading all these files. The boot record job is to do this. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll just erase this to make more convenience.
Boot record means also to start on the audio devices.
Yeah, that's all. Like, yeah, when you see the boot order, booting procedure or shutdown procedure, you will find about all this. Now, just let's take this as a boot record, which is again a pointer. Okay, let me give you one example of the boot record is. Hope you guys have learned C programming, linked list. No, I'm not going to ask you much. So don't worry. How will linked list work? Okay. Okay. for example, I'll tell you one example. So this is a linked list, okay? You have to remember those linked list days. It has a, yeah. So for example, I want to show Vinod is a good boy or Raj Mahesh is a AX administrator. So what we do is Raj Mahesh. I type here. Okay. I don't have space, so I just leave it. Then I say where is this is 30. This is 302 address. This block that contains is an AX. Then it will say 224. This is a 224 address. Admin. Once it is done, we just put slash. Slash means the same. So these are called pointers. Correct? So this is called linked list or that pointer. This is have been used in Windows and all this world. But Unix is using something advanced called inodes, where there's a problem. Like if it is 10 lines, 15 lines, you can say Raj Mahesh is an AX administrator. He has done AX certification. He has this experience, that experience. But just imagine his resume runs over 8 pages, 10 pages, 100 pages. He is writing a biography about himself. It's going to be 500,000 pages. So one after the other, if I search, how much time will it take to read the entire content? It's an overhead. So IBM does something different, or Unix does something different, which is based on inodes. Okay, I know something similar to this, but I'll explain you in detail. Is that fine? Okay. So let me tell you what it is. So whenever you type ls-l, what do you get? List what? List all the files and directories. So in a directory it has 10,000 files. Do you think it will go and read the entire hard disk and get you the information? Read the entire hard disk and get you the file name, permission, size, date modified, everything. What is that? It reads from this particular area. This is called your inode area. Okay. Whenever you create a new file or a new directory, immediately it creates an entry here. That's called inode. So inodes. Okay. For every file there will be one inode. For every directory there will be one entry. Yeah. A kind of register. Yeah, you got it? Okay. So in interview they will ask you what is an inode. Yeah. So you need to explain. So I'm just going to erase this. Let me just go to right. Okay. What is an inode? So yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, so that's what an inode is. Let me give you a brief. What is the content of inode? In interview, they'll ask you. In interview, they ask you, how will you respond to this question? Okay. So if you remember ls-l output, can you just give me an ls-l output? I just type ls-l. When you type ls-l, resume. So it shows the resume output. How it will look like? Something look like this: hyphen rwx, rw hyphen r hyphen hyphen some number. Then R Mahesh, owner, group is AX group. Then the size of the file, for example, 532 bytes. When it was modified, 20th March 2015. Then file name. You remember this? You remember this output? Sorry. Yeah, I'll just type over here. This Excel uses that as a formula. Yeah, so just put okay. Hyphen rwx, rwx, rw hyphen. This is a permission bit, some number, and it says R Mahesh, then it says AX, then it says size of the file 514, 524, then it says 20th March 2015. This is the last modified time and the file. Okay. So in interview, if they ask you what is there in inode, what is the content of inode, you can say inode is a pointer that points to the data location. And what is the content of an inode? So I'm just going to draw this small box here, and has a big box, which means that there are a lot of things in it. Okay. So the first thing is it has an inode number. Yeah, it will come from this. Yeah, I know. I think you attended this session. No problem. So inode number. Every file will have an inode number. This is the inode number. So whenever you type ls-li, you will also find some number here like 345. I'll show you once we connect to the server. In the server of is a server of. Shall I use Raju Helper? You're in. Yeah. Oh, I think you're still in. Tilde dot. No, you're still in. No, exit doesn't work. You have to tilde dot. Tilde dot. Terminate the session. Tilde dot. Terminate yes, no, you are getting something similar to this. Terminate yes. Tilde dot. See ls-l, you are getting this output, right? So when I type, for example, I just pick up some file name. Tell me, okay. Screen.log. Say ls-l screen.log. I get this output. ls-li screen.log will tell me some number. This 590 is nothing but the inode number. Okay. This is what is showing. So this comes from where? From the inode, the first entry, inode number. It has an inode number. Then it has file names. What is file names? File name or S. Why I put file names? Because you can have shortcuts. They're called links in Unix. Hard links, soft links. You can see that later. Okay. So file names. Then permission. What is permission? RWX, RWX. Whatever you are seeing there in the RWX comes from here. Then owner. Just yeah. So you just remember ls-li output and just speak inode number, file names, permissions, owner, group, last modified time timestamp. Then size. Size is not given direct. Size is given as an address. I'll tell you how that's been. So it's not like a normal linked list. It is going to be a blocked addressing. We'll see how that works. Okay. So first one is going to be direct address. Direct address. For example, I say address number 24. Okay. Address number 24. What is address number 24? So from here, this inode is going to point to address number 24. Address number 24. Getting it? Here I can show how many bytes? 512 bytes. For example, this is a resume file. For example, Raj Mahesh resume. That resume having only 500 characters. How many bytes will be used? Only one address is used. And when it reaches 510, 511, 512, it will use only this. When you update your resume saying IBM AX certified, which means you have crossed 512 bytes. IBM AX certified will add some more bytes of data. So you cannot store here. Now you need another direct address. This is somewhere in randomly at 34. Random. So which means somewhere here. Correct? What is this? This is called direct addressing. So now two direct address can point up to 512 bytes plus 512 bytes, which is nothing but 1 KB. Up to 1 kilobytes of your, just imagine next time when you store something on your hard disk, you should think this. Oh, my 512 bytes, I have used this many, the address. When I'm going beyond 512 bytes, another direct address is being used. Once I cross 1 KB, then I start using indirect address. Okay, indirect address, for example, that is going to be somewhere around 56. Okay, now I'll tell you what is indirect address. Okay, what is indirect address? Indirect address is nothing but this is going to point to a block. Okay, this is going to point to a block where I can store 512 bytes, but I'm not going to store 512 bytes here. It is going to have point getting it 512 into 512 bytes. It can point to. You know why it is indirect address now? This particular block is not data block. That is a address block which can point another 512 bytes. So 512 into 512. So how much is 512 into 512? It's a very big number. Okay, so there are two indirect address for this.
So if the regime contains 100 MB means first it will direct address.
Yeah, correct.
Then it will go for indirect.
Then it will go for indirect. So whenever you cross that limit, then you will start adding one more address. If you find which address is free, 56 is free, take the 56 address. Again, that is not data, that is going to be address of data.
Indirect address is the point.
Yeah, 56. This particular area is not data. Again, that is a point, address location. So it will go ahead for searching further data. You're getting it? After crossing these two indirect address, there is called double indirect. Okay, for example,
Indirect bytes can contain
5 to 512 into 5. Yeah, okay. Now this is going to be another wonderful stuff.
The same thing will be after for video.
Yeah. This is not about what is the content of the file. Okay. For you, it may be a data file, it may be a text file, it may be a video file, but for a hard disk, it's all ones and zeros. Okay. So over here, it is going to point something similar to this. I think I'm clicking something else. Yeah. Again, this is not data. You know, this is a pointer. And again, these are also not data. They are also going to be. Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I'm just drawing only one. Okay. These are those. Getting it? So like this, 512 into 512 into 512. Okay. So one inode can point 1 terabytes, 3 terabytes of data. Your file can be 3 terabytes, but one inode, one small inode will trace your 1 terabyte of data and fetch you. Unlike Windows or unlike linked list, now it is going to be block addressing. You go to one address, from that address you go to multiple address and fetch all the data, which will be quicker, sequential or random. This one is much quicker. That's why Unix shows better performance than Windows or any other one, right? It's almost like Windows. No, that's why it's called FAT, file allocation table. It goes address like postmaster, first address, second address. You know how postmaster takes the envelope and go and deliver? He first orders and keep it in a logical order. First door, second door, seventh door, 15th door, it goes in that way. Yeah, FAT works in that fashion. NTFS is a secured way of FAT. Secure file system, that's it. But inodes, now I think Windows are also been using the same technology these days. And when you see or work with Unix, you'll find Unix is better performing than Windows. The reason is something like you're using inodes. Is that clear? Are you able to visualize next time on how the data has been returned Actually, this is not required. When you take a training, how to create a file system, how to format, SMITI, CRFS. How to remove file system, SMITI, RMFS. How to increase or decrease a file system, SMITI, CHFS. I can do that in 5 minutes. But if you know the logic, if you know the engineering side of things, next time you can think about performance, you can think about many things. That's possibility is there when you.
So the sign-on only exists in
Unix and Unix related. I don't know about Windows now these days. Windows also mimicking Linux, so they would have also been started using this technology. Linux is an open source; anybody can use it. But to my knowledge, when we are using those days, PAT was something like a linguist. It does not use this technology. So now we know what is the content of an inode. So like this, double indirects or triple indirect, we can have n number. So that's why JFS file system will be pointing up to 1 terabyte. JFS2 can point up to 3 terabytes because the number of address blocks are more. Is that fine? So for every file there will be inode. When you do ls-l, only the inode, this area is being scanned and output is given, not reading the actual data block. When you read or write, then only inode will come and start pointing to the address blocks and starts reading data or writing it. Is that fine? So any doubts? Clear what is formatting? Is that clear? Now we know that the 10 GB this can have 80 GB of data. Yeah. Once this clarity is there, then it's much easier. Yeah. Now on the command front, there are only 4 commands: CRFS, RMFS, CHFS, LSFS. Okay. The thing is that it's not MKFS here. The reason is MKFS will create only file system, but IBM has customized that into CRFS so that it can even create partitions and create a file system. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see LSVG. We have 2 VGs. LSVG, Raju VG. So we have sufficient PPs. 185 PPs are there. Yeah. So let's try to create a small file system using CRFS. Let's, without creating a logical volume, I'm using CRFS. I'm defining. Okay. Type SMITI CRFS. So there are 3 different file systems. EN and JFS is nothing but JFS2. JFS is normal JFS and CD-ROM file system. So in interview they'll ask you the difference between JFS and JFS2. So JFS2 is online extend and online compression is possible. Online reducing is possible. Yeah. So let's JFS2. Enhance JFS. Okay. Let's create a, now you see there are 2 questions asked. First one is add a JFS file system, which means that there's no LV logical volume. It will create a logical volume and create a file system. For the second one, previously defined. We already have a LV created. You have to just create a file system, then go for the second one. So that's why we have made that the CRFS, not MKFS. So it can also create. Now I'm going to create. You see here, asking which volume group. Say Raju volume group. How many megabytes I have to create? Let me just put 100 megabytes. Okay. You want to give a mount point? I'll say R Mahesh as a mount point. Mount automatically. So next time if you want to mount it automatically, when I do all this, it goes and put an entry in etc file system as well. Okay, I'll show you. Hitting enter, it is creating a logical volume. Then it is creating a file system. When it's create a file system, you know how the file system is created, right? A logical volume. This will automatically do it for you. It's already done. See df-g. Raj Mahesh is not there. R Mahesh is not there. When you see cat etc file system, you can see an entry put by this one R Mahesh. Already a file logical volume is created for 100 MB. Let me just try mount R Mahesh. Okay, let me show you first df-g again. There's no R Mahesh, right? Mount / R Mahesh. Yeah, now you see df-g. Sorry, df-g. You can see R Mahesh with 100 MB. Yeah, you see that R Mahesh is created. It's a child's play. We always think it's a very tough job. How you creating a logical volume, creating a file system. How easy it is? Let us click some entry, job done. Mount it, it's already in there. What default values? Yeah, like for example, you see the logical volume name, it by default gave FSLV. But last time Wiki, others have created names with their own. When you create step by step, you have an option to change all parameters. When you try to automate, you may need to give go with defaults. Yeah, but again, the name doesn't matter much until others you have so many file systems. You want to keep a track, you can give a logical volume name. Is that fine? What is here of us? Yeah, with default. Yeah. Okay. Then in interview they'll ask you, now it is 100 MB, make it 300 MB. How will you extend the file system? Okay. So there are three answers to it. Let me give you one by one answer. Okay. First answer is you can go with the command chfs. So we'll see with chfs is the command -a size equals. You have an option here plus 200 MB, right? You can either say plus 200 M or give the final size. Final size is 300 MB /R Mahesh. This is what 99% of the crowd will say in an interview. Now you see df-g, it is 300 MB now. Earlier it was 100 MB. Now it's 300 MB. Like this, in this interview will ask you how will you extend a file system to 300 MB. I will chfs-a size equal to 300 MB. That's what you answer. You become an L1 engineer. Your package is 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs. Okay. Now how to answer this as an L2 engineer? Now it's 300 MB. Now the question is, Vinod, how will you extend this file system to 500 MB? When they ask me this question, I'll say, okay, before extending this file system, I'll check whether we have sufficient disk space in the volume group. Correct? So I'll say LSVG to find what are volume groups I have. And then I need to find FSLV01, this says on which volume group. So LSVG-L root VG. FSLV01 is here? No. Is there FSLV01 here? I asked 01. No. Like LSVG-L Raju VG. Is there? Now we know which volume group contains FSLV01. Now I need to check in Raju VG whether I have sufficient space. LSVG Raju VG. Now I see for free PPs, I have 436 MB free. I already have 300 MB. I need to add 200 MB more. So what I do? I can just go and do chfs command now. For example, I don't have sufficient space. Then what should I do? I should add a new disk, run cfg-mgr, add that new disk into this volume group, extend VG, that new hard disk. Now we'll have sufficient space. Then run chfs-a size equals, I'll put plus 200 MB this time, plus 200 M, yeah, 200 M /R Mahesh. df-ip. Now it is 500 MB. Yeah. So what is the difference between my first answer and second answer? First answer is chfs-a. You are an L1 engineer. Now I said whether I'll check which volume group contains this logical volume, whether that volume group contains sufficient free PPs. If there is no sufficient free PPs, how will I add a hard disk? After adding hard disk, how will I extend the hard disk into the volume group? Now I see the sufficient PPs are there. Then I run chfs. I am an L2 engineer. Package 7 lakhs to 10 lakhs. Question is the same. The way you answer matters. There's a third answer that we'll cover in expert. There is only two things that needs to be added. I'll give that answer. First thing, I'll check that this volume group, this logical volume is part of a cluster. By running cl-top-info, that's the command. By running cl-top-info, I'll check whether this is part of cluster. If it is not part of cluster or part of cluster, you have to continue the same steps like L2 answer. Check space, add disk, all this. After doing extend chfs file system, last one more line, sync cluster. Add cl-top-info, sync cluster. Only these two things you do. You are L3 engineer, package 12 lakhs to 15 lakhs. So one question, how you answer, will get you a different package. But whenever you sit in the interview, the pressure will give you only rapid fire answers. When they ask you the question, immediately chfs, that's what comes into your mind. Please settle down. Try to answer like this. You get a very good package. Is that fine? And also on the file system, it's a very easy job, right? So far, whenever the training has happened, concept wise, I'm taking a longer time. We took roughly 45 minutes for concepts to understand how the hard disk actually is and how the formatting actually happens, then how the data is being getting stored. We just got to know all this. Then later what we did, how to do it. The how to do it is only 2 minutes job. Correct? CRFS, CHFS, RMFS, LSFS, just easy job. So doing is very easy. Normally engineers or trainees who come here will ask, hey, give me practice. I want to create a file system. What do you do? Just submit CHFS, hit enter, it will do the job for you. You'll only see this output. File system changed. This is what the output you will see when you see the this command. But you don't know how this extension happens. Extension happens something similar to what I said, direct, indirect addressing and get you the most. Is that fine? Yeah, in AX only two types. You go to Linux, hell lot of file systems are there. It even supports Windows file system, Linux. Yeah, so JFS2 is the file system in AX. Okay, in Linux, ext1, ext2, ext3, ext4, XFS, there are many file systems in Linux. You go to Solaris, Solaris uses UFS file system, and now it is uses ZFS file system. When you go to IBM uses what file system it is? Like it's a journal file system. JFS.
So for JFS to enhance JFS, it will import from
Not importing. Like now, on the fly, I increased. Correct. Earlier it was 100 MB. I made it 300 MB, 500 MB. If I don't want, I can even shrink it. Now it is 500 MB. I say CHFS -a size equals minus 300 MB. I say /r minus. df-g. See, it has become 300 MB less. 500 to 300. So online increase, online decrease is possible in JFS2, enhanced file system. But in normal file system, JFS, you can increase, but you cannot decrease. That's a very old type file system. Yeah, that's fine. So these are mostly JFS2. We recommend to use JFS2. What is the advanced? But some application need JFS, so that's why this will still maintain. Is that fine? You're able to get a clear knowledge on this. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll stop for this. Hard link, soft link, we'll take it on tomorrow or some other day, because clubbing both might get a bit of confusion. So I'll release the exercise for you. You guys just practice those exercises and see some hands-on. Yeah, and then we'll handle with hard link, soft link. Yeah. So any doubts, Santan? Good. So I think we can close for the day, and close for the session, and see that the exercise have been done. Clear with file system now? Yeah, please.